we need to talk about this photo. This photo was discovered by a single mother who recently bought a new phone. She came home, placed her phone on the table, and started watching TV. But soon after that, her son found the phone and asked to play with it. She agreed, thinking nothing unusual was gonna happen. But around 11 p.m. that same night, the mother decided it was time to go to bed. Strangely though, she found her son already in bed, which was very unusual for him. Normally, he'd want to stay up a lot longer. That's when she noticed her new phone was still in her son's hands. So she took it from him and unlocked the phone. At first, only seeing some minor changes. He changed the background on her phone and took a few pictures around the house, nothing too alarming. But since the photos seemed random, she started deleting them. Until she saw something that shocked her. This was the last photo on her camera roll, showing her son sleeping, but the photo was taken by someone else above him. Follow for more stories.
This is why they started putting bells on grave sites. Being buried alive is probably one of the most terrifying things that could ever happen to you, and it actually happened a lot more than you think. One of the most infamous cases was of a woman who was buried alive not once, but twice. A woman named Alice drank a drink that contained poppy seed that put her into such a sedated state that the doctors pronounced her dead and quickly buried her. But a few days after they buried her, some children were playing above her gravesite, kind of weird, but okay, and they heard groans and screams coming from inside her grave. She had been fighting and clawing and doing everything she could to try to get out of her coffin, fighting with her literal life. A day later, they finally got in and got her body out, but she was so bloody and so bruised that she seemed like she was on the brink of death and didn't seem like she was moving. So, assuming that she had been alive for the last couple of days, but now she wasn't, they put her back in the grave and put her right back down. A graveyard worker was charged with the task of watching over her grave to make sure that if any other noises occurred throughout the night, they'd be able to pull her out. But sometime he decided that he didn't want to do that and he left to go to a local pub. However, she still hadn't died. She woke up in her coffin again. She scratched, she tore, she did everything she could, going into a full-blown panic about being put back in the ground. This time, when they went under to check her coffin to make sure that she had died, they found all the fresh scratches, all the fresh wounds from her trying to escape again, but this time, she had finally died. And that's why they started putting bells on gravesites.
This is the truth behind the tooth fairy. Now everyone knows who the tooth fairy is. Once you lose a tooth, you put it under your pillow and she comes in the middle of the night to take it and give you money. But what if I told you the tooth fairy is much more scarier than that? And that the tooth fairy has a much darker backstory. The story goes that a kid lost 2 of their teeth in the same day and proceeded to tell her parents that she lost both of her teeth. Now this was the first time she ever lost any teeth, so her parents told her what to do with them and put them under her pillow for money. So she proceeded to do that, and a couple hours later she was getting ready for bed. Her parents tucked her in and she was about to fall asleep, but that's when she sees her door creak open. It's super dark in her room so she can't see anything, but she squints her eyes to look at the doorway and sees something standing there. But then her door proceeds to fully open and you won't believe what was at the door. Hit the plus button for a part 2.
Whatever you do not answer this phone call. This is John Pork. Now, he's supposedly a CGI generated influencer with an unsettling appearance. He seems to be half man, half swine. The creature posts videos of himself dancing and traveling around the world to popular tourist locations. But this is where things get scary. You see, John used to call everybody, but nobody would answer before he was sadly unalive. Yeah, John is no longer with us. He had went out for a night of fun and tragically was unalived. After this, people have been getting strange calls from a haunting contact that says John Pork. And if you answer, this is what happens. Before I tell you, I know this food look good. I'm sorry, I can't share. But here's what we're gonna do. Your 4th at has to make or buy you food for the rest of this month, since I made you suffer. Let me know who it is. Supposedly, if you answer the call of John Pork, you'll summon him from the dead, and at midnight, he'll appear.